Hey, long time no see. Welcome to your first implementation series. The best way to learn is by doing. So this series is where we bring everything together from the previous technique series and implement it by building actual pieces of armor. Alright, so let's jump in with an overview of the forge process. For the longest time, my foam builds would take forever. I was constantly having to redo sections of it, wasting precious foam, and then it wouldn't fit right or there would be something that was off about it. Then finally one day I figured out a simple process that I could follow that made everything easier, more organized, and much more efficient. And that process is called Forge. So let's dive in and we'll cover what Forge stands for. F, find your framework. O, organize. R, revisit. G, glue. E, for embellish. So this process you repeat for every item that you're making in your cosplay. So if you're making a helmet, you'd use the forge process. And then when you move on to the breastplate, you're going to use the forge process again. So it's repeated for every item, every piece of the costume that you're making, or every prop that you're making for that costume. So let's go into a little bit more detail of each of these sections. Find your framework. So you want to find out who it is that you're cosplaying, what character it's going to be, what the costume looks like. You're going to start gathering reference images. You're going to start trying to brainstorm, plan out, okay, what materials am I going to need? What tools may I need to get that I don't have yet to be able to accomplish this? And you start getting the ball rolling on getting those. And then one of the most important parts of the find your framework part of the forge process is patterns. So whether you're buying a pattern that already exists or making your own pattern, okay? The pattern is going to be one of the most important parts. It's going to help save you so much time in this process, okay? So find your framework, right? Next is organize. So once you found your framework, you have all these pieces together, you have the reference images and all that, you have your pattern. The organize section is going to be taking all of that stuff, organizing it together. You're going to take your pattern, you're going to get all the pieces cut out, laid out in order. You're going to have all your tools and materials gathered together in one place, have your reference images organized in a place where you can easily access them as you build. And then you're going to take your pattern, lay it out on the foam, trace it, cut those pieces out, and lay them out in order of assembly or however the pattern instructs you to be able to put those together based on the pattern that you're working with. So after organize, then revisit. The revisit section, you're going to double check your work. Then you want to test fit some of the pieces. Before you get too far, make sure that the sizing, the scaling on that pattern was correct. Take a couple of those foam pieces, start taping them together and kind of do a little bit of a test fit just with taping them together before you get into putting too much detail or gluing them all together, and it becomes harder to work with. And then you want to think about any details that you need to add or should add while it's flat before you start shaping it. G stands for glue. So the gluing process, or the assembly process essentially, depending on what it is you're working with, is just you start putting the pieces together, you're lining up your registration marks, you're getting everything all put together in the right way, and taking your time here is going to save you so much time later on when you're finishing. Okay, so then E, embellish. This is where you're going to start to add in all the little extra details, the things that really go the extra step, the extra mile in really selling the look of this project, okay? So you're going to do things like adding weathering and wear and tear and fine little details that you're gluing on top, or things that you couldn't do when it was flat that you needed to wait until it was assembled together to actually add those details, or covering up seams here and there with little things. This is where you'd add lights or robotic functions and that kind of thing. This is also the point where you're going to seal the foam and then paint it, and then add your weathering and washes and finishing details of the paint job as well that give it that really worn look or that beautiful, pristine, shiny look, depending on the cosplay that you're going for. All right, so remember, forge, that's framework, organize, revisit, glue, embellish, okay? All right, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next lesson. Cosplay on, my friends.